Welcome, everybody, to the Competition Archery Media Podcast, where we explore all things pertaining to competition archery. I'm your host, PJ Riley, and today, fresh off their medal-winning performances in Paris at the Olympics, we got Casey Kaufhold in-house, Brady Ellison from Montana. Folks, thanks. Well, before we say anything, congrats. I can say that now. We were watching you guys last week. As we were just talking, Brady, you hadn't heard us. We were at the ASA, and we stopped everything we were doing. We had all the pros are competing. We're like, sorry, we're a little busy right now.
Perfect.
So congrats anyway. That was awesome. Casey, I'll start with you. How has it been, the reception? Now you're back. I know you've been getting TV requests from us too.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
It's been really neat to come home and have, all this media and stuff going on. It's been a lot of fun. I did a live little segment with our local news station this morning, which was super fun. I've been waking up early already anyway because of the time change. So it's been really cool to have, all this local media and stuff, and just coming home and getting to see all our family and celebrate and everything it's just been really fun.
I know you had a contingent waiting for you at Harrisburg Airport.
Yeah, that was fun coming home. I wasn't expecting that at all. I had my friend Sam and her family pick me up, and then some of the Joad kids from Lancaster Joad came to surprise me. So that was a really neat welcome home.
Yeah. Brady, how about you? Has your phone been ringing off the hook? And
a little bit. Like Toya set up some things here in Billings for me, and then I don't know. It's been a little bit different. Like, I don't know if you had this, Casey, but like going through the airports, everyone recognized me.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Which was weird. Like in Atlanta and Minneapolis, like there was people, like in the lounge, like, hey, congrats, we watched you, and like, good job. And then they announced that, who I was at the Delta counter in front of the whole terminal. I had to stand up. That was super cool.
I bet you love that.
Nice.
I couldn't just hide in my hoodie and disappear.
And do you usually not get recognized in those places?
No, I mean, it is kind of crazy, the difference in like in the medal. So like after London, all my friends' family, like my town was like, oh, cool, good job. And it lasted for a little bit. And then after Rio, everyone was pumped about the individual.
Yeah.
But I guess when you hit 5, you get a little bit more recognition. And I also think like us coming, like we were on all the major broadcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
So everything shown in the airport and everything like that, and then coming home, 6 or 8 hours or whatever it was directly after that, I think helped a little bit.
You're fresh in everybody's minds.
Yeah.
So obviously bronze in mixed team, and that's the first. Well, this is the second Olympics for mixed team, correct? First time for the Americans to win a medal. So let's start there, or let's actually back up even, because qualification, you both did pretty well. Brady, I think you were seeded 7th.
Yeah.
And Casey, you were 4th
yeah.
by 1 point. I have to say I was watching that. I was like, oh, she's a 3rd. Anyway, talk about qualification day. We couldn't see that, so I was just following it by text.
Yeah. The women shot first in the morning, and it was like crazy calm out. Like before we even started, I did an interview, and I literally called it. I was like, it's world record breaking conditions today. And then Lynn went on to shoot a world record, which was amazing. So the field was really tough, a lot of high scores, and so I was happy with coming out 4th. And then the men shot in the afternoon. Brady, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
like?
I was watching scores, and I'm like, man, it's going to be a hard day. Watching, it's not very often you watch the women go out and shoot, and the top scores are 353.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. That might even be the highest 36 a woman's ever shot.
I'm pretty sure.
That first half, that was insane.
And then we get to the field, and I'm like, how? Like, how did they do this? Like, it's windy. And then I was talking to Chris and stuff. He's like, yeah, this just changed about 30 minutes ago. And then our weather was pretty good. That left-hand side of the field was a little bit more protected that first 36, and then it started swirling a little bit. But ultimately at the games, it's like you want to have a good qualifying because it's a little bit easier, but there's no cut. So it doesn't really matter.
And did I see that, like, Brady, you had a sign at your lane that said, like, world record holder, and in case you had won world number one? Is that where you were shooting?
Yeah, like behind our shooing lane.
Okay, gotcha. Just
they put them behind us for media. So world champion, Olympic champion, I think world number one and world record holder has a sign behind him.
Gotcha. Okay. So you come off of that, and then I think team rounds was first, women's team rounds. Casey, talk about that. I know you and the girls were a little bit disappointed. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, I think we started super strong. Our first 3 years were 29 on the stage, which we were like, okay, this is going good. And then I think reality and nerves kind of hit, and then we started to get like a little shaky, a little tentative on some shots. But I think it was a good start because then we all at the same time got experience shooting on the stage. It's just a different world. Like Jenny and I had been to Tokyo, but there were no spectators. So like this was really the first time getting an experience in front of a Olympic crowd.
Yeah.
And so it really took a toll on me for team and individual. Like I just had never shot in front of so much noise, so many people. And so that took a lot to get used to.
Yeah. How many people did you say were in the stadium?
8,000 was the
8,000.
max the stadium could hold. So pretty large compared to most other archery venues.
So what is that? So what do you feel? You mentioned the noise. Is it just describe that? I have no clue.
To me, like it's easier for me to shoot when it's consistent, like when the noise is consistent. So like when I practice in my backyard, like it's like you hear the breeze, you hear the birds, you hear whatever, and it's the same. But when you're shooting like with a crowd, it's like, okay, you shoot a 9 or a 10, everybody claps. But then you have to shoot again and everybody goes dead silent. And so it's just like very inconsistent. So like, and a lot of times, like if somebody shoots like a really good shot, the crowd will like clap longer. So like you might be at full draw and then it stops.
Oh gosh.
And so it's just like, it's really inconsistent. And it just, to me, that's something it took me a little bit to get used to.
Brady, 5th Olympics. Do you notice that at all?
No, I love it. I'm on the exact opposite side of the fence. No, I love that noise, and that stadium was something special. I mean, Casey and I went up and watched the team rounds together, trying to learn that field and watch the wind. And we were talking about like, we were watching the shooters. Was that the shooter? Was that wind? And everything to kind of go with a game plan moving forward for individuals and our mixed team on just what the field was doing. But when France was shooting in that stadium, it was insane.
It was really cool. Like I was like,
cool. Like you could even, there were even times where we were on the ranking field, which from the stadium is probably 100 yards.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Straight shot, 200 yards straight shot. And you could feel the stadium from there sometimes.
No kidding.
It makes us really excited for LA. Like I can't wait to have like a hometown crowd like shooting in LA. I think that's just going to be awesome.
Yeah, and then you'll be ready for it too.
Yeah, now I get it. Now I know what it's like.
Sit there and be like, "Come on, let's go!"
Yeah,
like be a little bit louder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before you go to matches, what is that? What do you do? Do you get to warm up? Your first match of the day, your warm up, is that close? I don't. How does that go?
So we warm up and everything's on the ranking round. Then an hour before your shoot time, you're allowed to go on like the first 8 targets, which is the closest to the exit.
Okay.
And then you just warm up there. And then depending on the schedule, if they're running, they ran all the individuals in blocks. So 2 men, 2 women. So 30-second, 30-second, and then 16-16. And they would run those blocks ahead of schedule or behind schedule. But every time they started a new block, they tried to start on time. So say if one block went all 6-0, you might get called 5-10 minutes earlier than you were expecting, but the first match of the next block would always be on time. They would never run them ahead of schedule.
Yeah. So did you feel like when you had to go out for your first match of, team rounds, mixed team, individual, that you were ready, or did you still feel like I'm not really warmed up yet?
I feel like on the practice range, we were both shooting really well. Especially before like the mixed team matches. Like I remember like I was being a little turd at times and letting my head get in the way. But like when we were on, when he like made me understand that I know how to shoot archery, we shot really good on the practice range. And so I felt like that kind of gave us like a little confidence boost going up to the stage.
So were you able to practice besides mixed teams? Were you able to shoot with Brady, or there were other people?
Like
you were
when
shooting with the women.
Yeah, like when you're like not in like the little section of like the one targets 1 through 8 to like go to the final stage, like you can kind of shoot wherever. So we were kind of intermingled. Like we tried to stay as close like to the first 8 targets as possible, just so the wind and everything is the same. But yeah, it was open practice other than when you had the scheduled 1 hour before you had to go up.
Gotcha. Well, I want to get to the mixed team. Let's forget all the other stuff. Let's go right to the mixed team. So we're watching, and Germany, I think, was the quarterfinals or semifinals. I forget which round. The round before you went in for the bronze medal. Tell me about that. I saw it. Boy, there were like 2 or 3 opportunities where it was like you had the opportunity to close. What was happening there, and what were you all feeling? Because I'm sure you guys were feeling it. Brady, I'll start with you.
I don't know, like, I don't know what Casey was feeling. I never had any doubt that day that we were going to win a medal. I just didn't know what color. And like we did a really good job, and our sole focus was like to focus on us individually. Like I was only going to focus on myself and my shot, and Casey was only going to focus on herself and her shot. And then we would call wind and talk with each other and do everything afterwards. But our job wasn't to try to cover for each other or do anything like that. It was strictly focus on the one arrow, it hits, and then you forget about it, and it's the next arrow. And not even thinking about what we need or what we need to do to win a set or tie a set or anything else on the other target, just to strictly stay within what we can control. And I felt like that was the first time that we had actually talked about shooting a team round like that or went into that. And like that conversation and stuff, I think it started happening earlier in the week, but you know, I pulled a little bit stern big brother move on Casey after individuals the day before.
Yes.
And like that's truly like that conversation right there was probably what set us up to start to win that medal.
Mm-hmm. Was that the one where I saw where you posted where he said, okay, you have 30 minutes to
have a pity party.
Be upset?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the
say what he said.
That was the tough love that I needed. It was something to the extent of like, I understand what you're feeling. He was like, my first 2 games, like I did the same thing you did. Like I didn't make it past the first 2 matches, and I was pissed and I was angry, but you know, there's still more to it. And I think like I needed that because I was like I really had a lot of goals for myself individually, and there was just like a lot of pressure with the media and stuff, like the whole, you could be the first individual medalist since 1976. Like that's just that kind of weighs on you. Like as much as you try to not let it, like that's a lot. So I was pretty bummed, but I think he did a good job of kind of talking me out of like spiraling and reminding me that, hey, we still have like medals to shoot for, you know, like it's not done. Like you might feel like your life's over, but we're still going.
Let's stick with that a second, because that was one of the things I wanted to ask. Casey, you're 20?
I'm 20.
20. Your second Olympics. I certainly saw everything. World #1, first women to do this, that. And obviously you felt that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. Like, I think everybody says like, oh, you have to ignore it as much as possible. But when, you know, I was debating like a little bit before the games, like just saying like no to all media stuff, because that was just the thing that everybody brought up. And that's just hard to hear over and over and over again leading up to the games. So I kind of weeded out some media, but did like the larger outlets and stuff that I thought would have a lot of reach. Cause I think it's still important to like get the word about archery and especially women's sports out there. But it was just, it's hard, you know. I'm 20 years old. I still feel like, even though I've been doing this for a while, like I still feel like I'm early in my career. And so to have that on you as like, you know, at this point, it did feel like a lot. I'll be honest. Like that's a lot. But I think now that I've kind of gone through it, like going into it with a lot of expectation, I know what to avoid and what to change for next time.
Brady, fifth Olympics. Do you feel that pressure? Because then people are also saying, this is Brady Ellison. He's got the experience. He's been doing this for a long time. Do you feel that pressure, or is it now just, I've been doing this too long?
No, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think Casey's going to experience it more and more. And I think she's probably already doing a better job than I did at her age, for sure. But, you kind of, the organization and the whole entire like archery movement gets put on your shoulders, right? Because you're the one that's expected
Yes.
to perform and do everything in that moment. And it can be really tough. This games was a little bit different because I just went into it completely differently. Like training, everything that I did for this approach was a lot different. And I didn't do any media. Like I think I did one or two things before, quite frankly, because I just didn't care. And at, at this point in time, Casey was doing such a good job and the girls were doing such a good job. And honestly, this time around, USA Archery was putting so much stuff out there that I felt like I didn't need to be made available. And I don't know, it was just a little bit different on this one. Like I had a different game plan. I didn't care what anyone else did. I had what I wanted to go do, and it didn't matter if it was the first match or the last match that I went out with. I had my goal, and if I reached that was good enough.
Yeah. So I saw you had mentioned that you changed something. Your coach had you change something right before the Olympics. What was the change that you had made?
Yeah. So I had been struggling all year. I think essentially what happened is I tore through the disc in my AC joint and my collarbone at Pan Am Championships last year before we started competing, and then had to shoot Pan Ams with the torn AC joint, which wasn't exactly as much fun as I had hoped it would be. And I think I took some time off to try to let it heal. And when I came back, I was just super short draw lengthwise indoors. A lot of people say that my flexibility is the reason I shoot so good, but it's also the curse that I live with. Because I could shoot a bow at 1.5 inches different draw lengths and look exactly the same, which people are going to say that that's not possible, but it is.
I saw it.
And so I think I just got short, and it worked indoors. But when I went outside, it did not work. And I mean, if you look at how I shot all year this year, it was probably kind of pathetic, really. And Chris is just like, look, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't get it. And he's like, I don't know what you're doing because I watch you shoot 10 shots and 9 of them are different. And he's like, so that's the start of the problem. Like, you can't even put 2 shots together in a row and you're not feeling your body. Like, you think that you're shooting good, but you're not. Like, he was brutally honest with me, which is what I needed to hear. And I'm an athlete that can take that kind of criticism. And we got to talking about it. And that was at SoCal. And so I thought about it a bunch on the plane, and we wanted to lengthen my draw length. So I knew that Jack and I used to be about the same draw length. So we got the turkey, and I grabbed a set of his arrows, and Trenton actually had some that were a little longer than his. Said, you know what, screw it. We're going to try to shoot one of these arrows. And ended up lengthening my draw length about 1 3/8 at turkey.
And then rode that.
Huh?
And then you rode that to the Olympics. Yeah.
And then immediately by the time we started shooting turkey, I was already shooting better. Better scores. Like, I shot better in turkey. Like, everything in turkey already got better, changing that immediately. And then I just kind of rode that into the Olympics, and it's where I need to stay now.
Yeah. I saw, so as we were watching the team rounds, Brandon Reyes was standing there with me, and he said, Brady right now is shooting at the top of his game, and we're at the Olympics. Like, you're peaking at the Olympics. Obviously, that's what you want to do, and it sure seemed like that's what you were doing. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, actually I did. For several reasons. Like, technically it all came together. The first few days when we were there was just kind of knocking dust off and stuff. Just some things at home happened that I wasn't able to shoot for 4 or 5 days before we went to the game. So it took me a few days to kind of get back into the rhythm of things. But we were training at like our high performance center there in Paris. It's a place at the USA. It was an elite training center there in France that the USA kind of commandeered, I guess, and all the sports were there. A lot of NGBs. It's where we went through processing and everything. But we trained there and kind of knocked all the rust off and started shooting better there. But by the time we got to the field, I was starting to shoot scores in practice on a day-to-day that I hadn't all year, and truly like was peaking at that event. And then going into the matches it's just like, all right, you know that you're shooting good, you know your bow's shooting good, you just have to focus and make sure that you're doing it. There was a day that I shot like a 14-10, 14-12. I was shooting a 350 plus every day.
Yeah.
And like it was with witnesses. Like Casey shot with me a bunch.
Well, unfortunately, I shot matches against him one of those days that he shot a 14-10 pace. And let's just say I was happy I got set points. I never got 6-0'd, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah. It was actually kind of funny because I remember, I don't know if you wanted me to hear, but you went back to Heather at one point and you're like, I just shot like a 116 and lost.
Yeah, I did. I was royally pissed. I was like, I'm glad he's shooting good, but this just kind of sucks.
Casey, what level do you feel you were at when you got to Paris?
I felt like the whole team was shooting well. I mean, we got to the HPC, like he said, and we did some team rounds. And like the girls, we were shooting against Brady. He was shooting 6 arrows at a time, and the girls were rotating. But we had some good ends. Like I think one day, like we didn't score below 55, which for women's team, that's awesome for us. And individually, like we did some scores a few days. I think I shot like a 678 in practice, which is kind of like about what I had been averaging. I had been high 670s to low 680s in practice. And so, like going into the ranking round and everything, I was feeling good. And then was shooting matches against him, and we did a lot of mixed team practice. So everything felt like it was coming together.
So this is one of the things that have been dying to ask you since it happened, is because I guess I didn't realize it, but the time between when you lost to Germany to when you shot the bronze medal match was maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, it could have been less, but it was.
I think I
fast.
don't know. I think it felt like a long time for us because they pulled us back in there, and I went in there. I was like, all right, let's go. I'm all fired up. And then they're like, yeah, you're not going to shoot for another 12 or 15 minutes. And I'm like,
they had a band come out. There was like a performance. So
there
was a band that came out, and we were like, we just want to win. Like we just want to go out there and win our medal already.
So that kind of answers that kind of answers. I was wondering, how do you that had to be devastating that you lost to Germany. How do you get over that and say, all right, this is our chance to win a medal?
I think we were still at the point where we were like, we didn't shoot bad. Like we had those 2 arrows that went into the 8. I think just got caught by the wind a little bit. Like we literally shot the same exact place, right? 8 on that last end against Germany. But at that point we were like, we're shooting good. Like we know we can, pull this thing together. And I think like we just kind of kept the mindset of like, I didn't even feel like we had just lost a match. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I didn't even feel like sad or bummed or anything. I was just like, cool, we're just going to go shoot another one.
Gotcha. Same thing, Brady. You've been in those situations before. You just put it behind you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like we lost, and immediately coming off the line, I'm like, all right, we still got one more match. Like, let's go. Like, we're done. Like, it was the same thing, I was like, all right, we're done. Like, this match is done and over. Like, let's get ready for the next one. Like, we still have a medal to go win.
Yeah. And then that bronze medal match was kind of back and forth. It seemed like you guys were mainly in control, but I won't lie, you guys gave us a couple heart attacks there while we were watching.
That match against India, we came out super strong. We were 4-0. And
then I don't remember.
He literally asked me after. He was like, "How did we shoot?" Like, I don't even know. Like, he was like, "I don't even know." But I think we were up 4-0. We were feeling really good, and then the wind started to pick up a little bit. It was a pretty strong headwind. Like, I remember I shot low, and like I just felt like it was pushing on my body a lot, and I was shaking because I was nervous. So my pin went off low, and then between that and the headwind, it dropped me a little bit low. But Brady, I think you kept it together really well.
Yeah, I was just like I said, like I was so focused on every arrow. A lot of times I didn't really pay attention to what we needed or what it was. There was a couple of times I knew what we needed, but I was trying not to stay focused on it. But I did know, like going in, like, we went down into the last set. We shot our first two arrows, or they shot their first two arrows. I don't remember how it was, but I knew that we were up and that they kind of gave us an opportunity. And when they shot their two arrows, I was like, all right, we got another opportunity here. And I knew that, I don't know, Casey had a big target for that last arrow. So
it was comfortable.
yeah. So I was just kind of sitting there and I watched her shot, and then I was kind of the way, like there was a screen right above her head. And so like I watched her shot and then I was like, that's good. And I just kind of real quick looked like how it flew, and it was flying good. And then so I just looked at the screen, and then, we won. So it was all good.
So we asked people to ask us questions for you folks. We told them we were going to be doing this podcast. And one of them was, what's it like shooting that arrow knowing it's for an Olympic medal?
Yeah, I think like a lot of times when I was like in practice, like I've been doing this all year. Like I don't know where this came from, but like in practice, like I'll be shooting and just like the last arrow of an end, I'll be like, I need to shoot it. Like in my mind, I'll be like, I know I need to shoot a 10 to win the games. Like just for practice, I just do it. Yeah. But I was like, I felt like in practice, every time I did it, it would put too much pressure on myself and I'd shoot a 9. And I was like, like maybe this isn't the strat. Like this might not be the strategy. And so like on that last arrow, like I knew we needed like, I don't know, like an 8 or a yellow or something.
8 you needed,
but. And so I was like, like I'm just going to go up and I'm going to shoot one more good shot. And that's all I did. That's all we needed. And that's all I did. Game plan. Yeah, that was the plan. And so like it doesn't matter, like it shouldn't matter what number it is, just one more good shot, because if you shoot a good shot, it's going to go.
And yeah, Brady, I heard you in an interview say we came up with a game plan before we went out. What is a game plan for mixed team archery?
No, we can't tell you that because it's our game plan.
It's a secret.
You don't want to give it away to the world.
Yeah, it's secret sauce.
But it was a good plan. It worked.
Gotcha. Hey, fair enough. So then, obviously, it's over. Casey, you realize it. Holy cow, the world's going nuts. I'll ask you individually, what do you remember? We were talking about a little bit, Casey. Like, I imagine that's just a crazy moment. What do you remember from that moment?
I actually, I didn't remember that much. Like, I remember being very excited. I remember screaming. And that was about all. I remember I hugged Brady. I hugged Chris. I congratulated our opponents. And, as everything goes. And then we walked off the stage. And then a few hours later, I watched it back. And I was watching this and I'm like, I am going ballistic. I'm like, I have never seen myself. I don't know who that was. I don't know where she came from, but she was going crazy. And he was too. I mean, like there's a certain picture of like Brady's face and he's like so red in the face and his eyes are like, and he's like so excited. And I didn't remember, like there were like fist bumps going down to the ground. There were fist bumps going in the air. The bow was up. I was screaming in every direction. It was like, I don't remember doing that, but apparently I did. Yeah.
Do you remember that, Brady, or does it black out for you as well a little bit?
No, I think I remember most of what happened after looking at pictures and replaying the video.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, I mean, like Casey said, like I literally asked her, like while we're going to do our little after party thing, I was like, did we even shoot good? Like, how did we shoot today? Like,
He actually didn't know.
I wasn't really paying attention. Like, I know we won a medal. I'm super excited. But yeah, like those reactions are so pure because, even what I think was it the quarterfinal match, Casey?
Where I had my little.
Yeah, you got a little excited and got where you were looking like you were wanting to get a little emotional, and I kind of was like, hey, stop.
Reel it in. Yeah, I was at the point where like I felt like the tension and like the excitement building, and I was just like at a point where I need to let it out. And so we won the quarterfinal match, and like I was just like I needed to let out like a little roar. It was just a baby roar. It wasn't like the lion. It was just the cub. Yeah. And so I just let a little bit out because I was like, I need to get this excitement out. And then he was like, hey, you had your moment. We're going to calm down. We actually went for a little walk. We cooled off. We went for a little walk. It was great. And then a little bit later, we shot that semifinal.
Oh man, that's incredible. And what's the time span between? Well, they had to shoot the gold medal match, but like, what time is it between you finished, you won, and then they do the podium ceremony? Is it? It's not a long time, is it?
It's right after. So like we won
Right
our
after.
match, and then we immediately get pulled in back into the thing. I don't even think we did media right afterwards. Changing the stuff, watch the gold medal match, and then they bring everyone in, everyone gets changed, and then they go, and then you like we went through the mix zone and then had that press conference. Well, I had a press conference. Casey skipped on it.
Well, I really had to pee, and I also had to do a drug test. So he took the most of the questions.
He took the media hit.
Yeah. And then I don't know, it just kind of turns into a whirlwind. And by the time you know it, like you win a medal at 2:00 in the afternoon, and then it's midnight and you're back in the village going, what in the hell just happened?
Exactly.
What's it like climbing up on an Olympic podium I'm guessing it's in the middle of the stadium at one end?
It's kind of on where we shoot, like close to the shooting line.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that like? I mean, everybody's there cheering, clapping. Here it is. This is what you've been working for your life. Boom, medal around your neck.
I cried a lot. He was trying to hold it together, so he looked all manly. But I was crying. There were a lot of tears.
Yeah, Brady, we'll get to it in a second, your individual match. But yes, I thought I saw more emotion in that match than in your individual at the end of it. That's what it looked like on TV.
Well, definitely. I've always said that, like, I think the mixed teams or any teams are a lot more special because you get to share that experience with somebody. And it's not just by yourself or with the coach, like you're actually shooting with people. So it's a little bit more exciting. And then, also that was like the first medal of the two that I won. And I don't know, it was just Casey and I were talking about it all year, and Casey was getting a little frustrated during the season.
We shot so good all year, but just lost for stupid reasons. Like I would be like,
we were
hey,
just short. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's all right. Like, if we lose every one of these and then go win a medal at the games, it doesn't
it's worth
matter.
It. And that's exactly, like, literally, he called it.
I don't remember one match that you lost, but I remember the one you won.
Yeah. That's the important part.
I remember that medal right there. Yeah, and so then what happens? Is that just like, was there a flood of media? I don't, what happened? Because I certainly saw interviews, videos, all this stuff, so I'm sure people are coming at you.
Yeah, we went to the Team USA house after and did quite a few things. What did we do? Getty images.
I don't know. We didn't.
Whole bunch of stuff.
It was just kind of our content center where pictures and little things, and I don't know, they kind of jumble us all together on some bunch of different things. And then like I decided to go practice the next day afterwards, which it actually didn't end up being a very good idea. I was a little wore out from the mixed teams, but I'm pretty sure you, Casey, went on a whirlwind.
I was told that I was gonna do media from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. and I was like, that's a long time. And so I told Sarah, the lady who like does all the media and stuff for USA Archery, I was like, I'm gonna do everything in one take. I was like, I am gonna be the most efficient person you have ever seen. And I think the whole day did everything in one take because I wanted to go have dinner with my family.
No kidding.
Yeah. So we turned and we took some things out that we didn't think were like super necessary, like just certain things that I was like, I feel like other things are more important. So we got done. It was supposed to be 11 p.m. It was 7. I was very proud of that. Yeah.
How about that? And Brady, was Toya and the kids there in Paris?
Yeah,
they were there. Okay, so they were there. And how long was it before you each got to see your families?
Right after the bronze, I got to see him, but I didn't see him the rest of the day.
Oh, okay.
And then I went and saw him the next day. With the kids and the stands and everything, shooting in the afternoon and stuff. We didn't want to bring the boys to like the USA house and stuff and have them out from,
Gotcha.
you know, transportation and everything like that way
Yeah.
past their bedtime. It just makes life too hard on mama.
Right. Yes. Got to do that. Got to keep her happy for sure. And I saw, Casey, pictures of you when you finally came out of something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah, that was at the Team USA house. I actually, because I went to do drug testing and then the press conference, I actually didn't get to see them until like probably 5 hours after the match.
Really?
Like it was a long time. Like I was just like, that's all I could think of. I was like, I got to see my family. Like I got to see them. Like I saw Heather because she was able to be like down on the field and stuff with us. But I didn't get to see everybody until like so long after. And so that was really cool because like everybody was there at the same time. And so glad we got photos of everything. Like those are photos I'll cherish forever. But that was just like such a cool moment of like them getting to experience that and my first medal and everything. Yeah.
How many people do you think have touched that medal by now?
Oh, a lot. Yeah. I don't know how this happened, but it's gotten like a little bit banged up just in the last, I don't think I've even had it for a week. So I'm going to take it to a jeweler and see if they can get it shined.
Yeah.
But,
Brady, I want to see this. She's going to take us into a local jeweler and be like, excuse me, can you polish up my Olympic bronze medal here? I want to see recording of that.
I feel like it would be very funny.
Brady, I saw you hold up your 5 medals and where you said these are the nicest ones that you have.
Definitely, like they actually look like machined and super awesome, and the way they look really awesome. My medals from Rio's are beat to hell.
Huh.
Like the coloring's falling off of them and everything
No
like
kidding.
that. And the one in London also looks like it's still holding up, but those ones for Rio, for whatever reason, like the plating and stuff is coming off of them, so they look kind of don't look as cool as an Olympic medal should maybe.
So it was 2 days later, I believe, was the individual to when you got back to competition. Is that correct? I forget what day it was even.
Sunday.
And then now, Brady, let's talk about that because the matches that we saw, man, it was just like you were just killing everybody. It was unreal. Were you feeling like that as you went through?
I was really just trying to focus on every shot, and I think it was probably my best Olympic performance ever.
Yeah.
Not just scores, but in the sets, in the matches, technically. I probably only had 3 or 4 shots, 5 shots during that whole entire day that I would want to take back, but none of them really hurt me in the end. Like none of them got me in a bad situation.
Right.
And, like I was able to shoot a lot of 10s to win sets when I needed to, but I wasn't focused on that. I was just trying to stay within my timing and what I wanted to do and what I was setting up the whole entire week on practice. And I was able to do that. And I think that that's kind of what helped me stay mistake free. And then, I don't know, like I wasn't that nervous.
You didn't look nervous.
There was a few shots. Yeah, there was a few shots where you could see that I get a little revved up, but, for the most part, it's just like, I don't know, like it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. Like I can't control anything that's in here. So I'm just going to do what I can. And, I actually felt like it kind of had a dominating performance until the last match where it just came down to a shoot off.
I wouldn't say that wasn't a dominate. I mean, you didn't dominate him, but you were still shooting pretty. I mean, that was an incredible match. But before we get to that one, what's that like for you? Because I know you've talked about gold medal. That's been your goal. That's what you want. What's that like the moment you realize that you're in the gold medal match, that you won the match before that? Boom. Now I get to shoot for gold.
Yeah, I think winning the semifinals, like one, it was cool because it's like, all right, you're going to win an individual too. Like it's your first time, like you get to go shoot for a gold. But I also won that 6-0.
Yes.
In that semifinal match, which was one of the only 6-0 matches that entire day. It might have been the only one. So I don't know. I was kind of proud of that. Just kind of like sit down. And just like trying to keep the emotions together because you're finally there, right? Like, it's been doing this for 18 years, and like finally you're in that moment, and like trying not to let your emotions go or do anything, and to stay focused and everything like that because you have one more match. It took me a few minutes afterwards to kind of get my composure back and get everything set up to go back into that gold medal match.
And then you see it's against Kim Woo-jin, who, John Demmer, he posted, he's like, this is like the heavyweight match he's been waiting years to see. Brady Ellison, Kim Woo-jin, Olympic final for the gold medal. I mean,
yeah, I think watching everyone on the practice field shooting, him and I were above anyone else on that field all week. Like if you were watching our targets and watching us shoot, there was just him and I were shooting on a different level than anyone else on that field. And it just kind of was set up for it. Like I didn't shoot a great raking round, but it was all right. But I was 7, he was 2, or he was number 1. Like everything from the ranking round on just kind of like built into that was probably going to be what it is. And he had a couple of close matches that I thought that he actually wasn't going to get through. But ended up going in there. And then, that was the match that I feel like everyone's waited for forever. We were kind of like the two titans in the last 10 years, 15 years. If I'm not winning one, he's winning one. If we're in the same bracket, whoever won between the two of us, which was mostly him, would go on and win the tournament, so it always seems like it's him or I was the one that was going to win the tournaments.
And did I see that this was your 9th meeting? I think I heard the announcer say this was your 9th meeting against him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 9 or 10 or how many it's been, but it's been a lot.
Yeah. And do you know your record against him?
Losing.
And so then, like I said, in that final, people always talk about, you have to treat it like it's another match. I've heard Rio Wild talk about that. You have to act normal. That was the only match where I can say you looked like that. You just looked like, yeah, all right, here we go. I'm shooting. Did you feel like that though? I know what you looked like, but what did you feel like?
Yeah, no, I actually did. I didn't feel any different in that match than any other one. I knew that was going to be the hardest match. Like I knew what he was bringing to the table. I also knew that he may give me an opportunity that was uncharacteristic with some of the things how he shot, or he was going to go out there and shoot a 30 every end. You don't know what he was going to do. But I just kind of ignored him and stayed to my own game plan, and damn near worked.
Comes down to the last arrow. Now, as much pressure as we talked about, what's it like to go to a 1-arrow shoot off for the gold medal in the Olympics?
Especially after tying on 30s in the last set.
30s.
That was also
Your
insane.
Last set, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I kind of put my foot in my mouth because I said in an interview earlier in the week that like my goal is to shoot as many arrows as I could and in as many matches as I could in that stadium in front of the crowd. Like I wanted to be in front of the crowd. So I came back and I told Chris, and I was like, I shouldn't have made that statement because now I'm going to shoot off. And he goes, yeah, well, you got one more.
Yeah. You just wanted to extend it out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like he fired it, and I knew the crowd went off. I knew he shot a 10. I knew I needed a good one. And when I fired my shot, like I really felt like it had a great chance. Like I knew it was going to be a 10.
Yeah.
And then when it hit up there on the line, and then the crowd was quiet for a second.
Yeah.
Like there was he shot a 10, but it took everyone a second to kind of figure out whose was closer. So I knew it was super close.
Yeah.
And then when I turned around, Chris shook his head like, no, he got you. And I'm like, well, damn it.
Yeah.
And that was about the extent of my emotion towards it.
The thickness of the 10 line. That's what separated it. He was on one side, you were on the other, but you were both touching it.
Yeah, like if our arrows were in the same spot, they would have been touching each other.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
it was close. It's the second gold medal that I've lost by millimeters. So, maybe I'm just the good Lord above is saving it for an epic LA match. Who knows?
And you had said that you didn't feel, dejected because you both shot like champions. And I saw that comment a couple places. That's real. You were just like, hey man, I gave it everything I had.
I think we both gave it everything that we had, and it was almost like when it was all said and done, like there was nothing. What are you going to do about it, right? Like I
Yeah.
shot the best I could. Like I stuck to my game plan. I didn't have any regrets coming out of that match, and I don't think that he did either.
Yeah.
And like we put on a show. Like by the end of it, like there was a
Oh
little bit
yeah.
give or take. We both made some mistakes, but when it came down to actually winning that match, we were perfect.
Yeah. It was a show. I have to tell you both. Me and Kyle are flying back from the ASA. Somebody couldn't have scripted this better. We're coming into the Atlanta airport, and I'm looking at the match, and I'm like, man, we're going to land right about the time this thing is ending. I'm like, I don't want the screen to shut off. So I'm asking Kyle, where's the ground? And he's looking out the window. And so we land just as they're shooting the shoot off arrow. I see Kim Woo-jin shoot. Brady comes to full draw and the screen froze.
Oh no.
So we just landed and me and Kyle both go, no. So you're in an airplane landing and people are yelling no. So I looked around, people are looking at us. I was like, oh, we're watching the Olympics. And then when it unfroze, we saw where it went. But I was like, that was the most exciting match I've ever seen. Unbelievable. I'm sure you've been hearing from people about it afterwards this week.
Yeah. The most interesting thing is like I've gone viral in Korea,
Oh,
which is kind of cool and interesting. And I've almost had more TV stations and reporters from Korea contacting me to talk about that match and everything that I have here in the States, which is kind of cool. So hopefully they all remember me and us when we go to Korea next year and kick their butts.
yeah.
like
So
it.
what does that? So Kim Woo-jin's career and his legacy and all that. What's that like to be out there with him? After that finals is over, it seemed like. I mean, I saw he came right over. Was like, I don't know what he said, but it sure looked like he was like, man, what a match.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Like we both know what we just did, right? Like
Yeah,
we both know that like that was probably the best match in Olympic history.
had to be.
100%.
And at least that we remember. And so I think that I don't know. I think that we just came together and I was like, that was awesome. That was great. Like we did our jobs. Good job.
Yeah, ratings definitely had to be up. That was on USA. That's where we were watching it. So I'm sure lots of people saw that. But so this is the Olympics. I mean, now it's 4 years. 4 years away until you have that again. Obviously, there's lots of tournaments in between. But what's that like now? This is what you've been. I showed many people your trail out there in the yard from beating it down. Now that grass can grow back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that sounds so sad. It's like a poem. But I think I'm definitely looking forward to taking a little bit of time off after nationals. I realized in the last 6 years, I don't think I've ever taken more than a week and a half off.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna go visit my friends at College Station after Lubbock because it's not too far. And I'll probably take some time off there, just spend some time with friends, and then come back. I have some renovations going on with the house that I'll probably focus on, and then in the indoor season, get back to it. I think it's hard for me to not shoot, because that's the main thing I do. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a little bit of a break, but it's going to be interesting because I've never actually known a whole 4-year cycle. Because going into Tokyo, I hadn't been to a games before, so it was just kind of training, woohoo, go to the Olympics. And then it was also 2021, so it's only been 3 years between. So I'm curious to see what I feel like a 4-year cycle now is going to feel like an eternity. But yeah, I'm excited to see. I feel like I learned more from this games than I did Tokyo, so I'm really looking forward to LA.
Yeah. Brady, same question for you. Brady, you're how old now?
35.
35. Okay. So you've been through this. This is now the 5th time. What's that like? Boom. After that Olympic dump.
I don't know. I won't take a break. Like I'll keep shooting. We have nationals here next weekend already, and then I have World Fields in the middle of September, and then I don't know what I'm going to shoot during the winter, but as soon as we get back from fields, I'll set up an indoor bow and start shooting inside. Um, I'm not planning on taking a break. I'm planning on still hitting everything hard. Um, and then see what it is, The sad reality is, as much as I love you guys and archery and everything like that, like in a month we're going to be forgotten, Casey, until the next time rolls around. And it's just going to go back to what it normally is. And I don't know, like there's still a lot of things that I want to do. There's still a lot of tournaments I want to win and pay off this house and try to get things set up in the next 4 years for a possible retirement. Not committing to retirement in 4 years, just making that clear. So we'll, there's still a lot on the plate, and the Olympics are over, and we'll do all the media and blast it as much as we can. At the end of the next day, it's on to the next tournament.
Are you committed? You're not committing to retirement. Are you committing to trying to get to the next Olympics, 28?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I have contracts signed with pretty much all the companies through LA,
Okay.
to make one last push for the American, the American final there, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens after that. 4 years is still a long time, and 35 to 39 is also a long time. So we'll see what happens.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you. How are you feeling? Like you had Olympics at younger age. How do you feel with this Olympics being over at 35? Like physically, you feel good?
I don't know. Physically, I felt like this was the easiest one.
Oh, okay.
In a sense, like my collarbone and stuff was still bothering me at the games, and I'll have to get that figured out, I think, so that doesn't shorten the training and stuff that I may need to do in the future. So I will need to get this looked at and taken care of before everything, and pick the right time to do that. But like I still feel good. I mean, Butch was 52 in Beijing, so I still got a lot of time.
Oh, man. I did not know that. And Casey, how about you? How are you feeling? 20 years old, probably doesn't affect you as much.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think like part of me just felt exhausted more because after the games, just more because of like the emotion and the hard work and knowing like that moment is, accomplished and over. But yeah, I feel good. Like yesterday was the first day that I had back like a full training day. And so, a little rusty to start, but, got back into it slowly and looking towards the future. Like definitely want to do 2028 and 2032. I'm curious to see, they haven't announced where 2036 is going to be yet. So that should be in the next few weeks. They usually announce it after each games. So yeah, definitely the next 2 is the goal.
Is in the 4-year cycle, like, do you even think Olympics this first year, or is it too far out that it's just like, I'm just training for what's here now. I'm not thinking about that yet.
Yeah, I think in a way, like everything I do is training for the games. Even indoors, like I feel like I do things where I'm like, okay, that applies in some way, shape, or form to what I want to do at the Olympics. So like everything is kind of like a stepping stone working towards that. And then I think also like knowing when to peak at the right time. Still trying to figure that out. I felt like I had like a peak at the end of last season. Like around, like I won the World Cup in Paris, and then World Championships was good, all that stuff. So I feel like kind of figuring out how to like keep building off of that and not like letting that high come back down.
Yeah.
So still learning that, but I have a lot of time. I'm only 20, so
only 20.
Got a lot of time.
Brady going for another 900 this year in Vegas. Only Olympic recurve archer ever to do it.
Yeah, no, probably not. You know how impossible it is to shoot a 900 with a recurve?
I saw you do it. It looked pretty easy from my seat.
Yeah,
I wasn't drawing the bow.
Yeah, it was harder than any Olympic Games I've ever been in.
Oh, yeah. Actually, let's talk about that a second. So the pressure of your last few hours for that 900, much harder than the Olympic final?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Like the demons inside my head like that whole entire day. I was like, hey, you already won. Like, if you miss one, it's okay. Like, you're still going to win. Like, no one's really going to care. And then it's like, no, everyone's going to care. Like,
Yeah.
like the back and forth battle and the feeling sick from like 5 or 6 ends. And like, if that's what the compounds feel when they shoot Vegas, like that open division, like, I
Yes.
want no part of it. I'm shooting a division where I'm allowed to miss a few.
That for me and Kyle, I can still say I think that's one of the coolest things we've ever sat behind. You know, we're not doing anything, but to see that, because I could feel the tension. It was like, you know, every shot we're like, don't miss, don't miss, don't miss. So I can't even imagine what was going on in your head.
Yeah, it was. I'm still not even sure how that happened.
So for each of you, what's like one big takeaway from this Olympics that, you know, a good thing that you're like, all right, this is something I can focus on for the next one, or this is something I did really well. What's a big takeaway for you, Casey?
My biggest thing, this is going to sound so silly, just breathing. During my individual match, I'm pretty sure like forgot to breathe at full draw. Like not even joking. Like I thought I was shaking a lot more than I was. Like I watched the video back and I'm like, oh, I actually look like a lot calmer than I felt. But like to me, like my pin was like bobbing. Like I would lose focus of the target because my pin was moving so much. And so I think like it's funny what pressure does to you. Like it just makes you forget to do things that you do all the time every day.
Yeah.
And so I actually changed my mental process. Like I have like a word that I say like at the end, like while I'm moving through the clicker. And that used to be like even, like meaning like move evenly through the shot.
Yeah.
But I changed it to breathe. So I would literally remember to breathe. And so that helped me a lot. And I felt a lot calmer, a lot less shaky when we did mixed team.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Brady, how about for you?
I think my biggest thing is I've been, I don't know, kind of on a broad scope. I've let my shot timing and my things become too long over the last probably part of my career. So like I'm really going to focus on going back to some of the original drills and stuff that Coach Lee had me do in the very first couple of years of the career.
Yeah.
That I had on timing and stuff when we trained a lot differently. That's a lot more difficult and it's not as easy. But it made me start thinking and stuff on like my individual performance and what I did here on some of the things that like team rounds moving forward, like trying to talk to the guys and the girls and kind of our whole entire structure on some changes I think that we need to make um to shoot better in team rounds, watching other people's scores and stuff like that. Because I think what's happened is a lot of us like to shoot a little bit longer shot at full draw. You know, like from the time you pick up your bow to the time you fire is maybe 10 to 12 seconds. And I think what my theory is what's happening is even if you're being quick when you step up to a line in a team round to shoot, you're at like 5 to 7 seconds, 8 seconds to load narrow before you start shooting that, and then it's a second off the line. So you're taking 9 seconds a rotation. And if your insanely comfortable good shot is lifting up the bow at 12, it's going to be really hard to be successful in a team round setting if um if your comfort zone is over 20 seconds for a shot with a rotation. And so I think that trying to get everyone's comfort zone in a shot timing from the time they lift up the bow to the time they fire is controlled. Everything is how they want it to in 9 seconds, 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Gives you 2 or 3 seconds on rotations or wind. And I think that that's where the rest of the world has kind of caught up in team rounds, possibly, is everyone has such a quick shot timing, and these teams that have really quick shot timings, their team round scores go up, whereas the teams that have a little bit longer shot timings are hit or miss.
Gotcha.
And I don't think it's wrong how we're shooting by any means. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Right.
I just think that subconsciously you start to rush a little bit, and that's where you make mistakes.
Uh-huh. How do you both feel about the U.S. team moving towards 28 in terms of having, we did not have a full men's team this time. We did have a women's team this time. What do you see? How are you feeling about going towards the next one?
I think it'll be relieving in a way just to not have to worry about spots. I think that's a huge thing. That's definitely like the host country gets free spots.
Right. I forgot about
and
that.
So it's, I know like this year for the guys, it was really stressful. Like the women got their spots like a little bit earlier. We got them at Pan Am Champs this year, but I know for the guys, that was like a really long, stressful process. And so I think that'll be kind of just like let us focus more on trials and getting our game together, like individually to do well as a team instead of worrying about like so much about the team
getting
the qualification itself.
Yeah. You feel the same, Brady?
Yeah, and I think we don't know exactly how we're going to qualify for the games next time. I imagine that we get host country spots like Casey said, and I'm hoping that's the case. And the biggest thing that's going to lead to is just more time to train.
Yeah.
We won't have to go to an extra 2 or 3 tournaments possibly to try to qualify spots. So, that's another 30 days of training.
Gotcha.
Which I think will be really helpful. I think the direction and everything that in the next 4 years is going to be good. It was kind of cool to see what Chris Webster was able to do on our team this year and the confidence and the mental side of things and keeping everyone together as well as he did being put in the position covering for Coach Lee.
Yeah.
And I think, his voice and everything that he did with the athletes moving forward, I think will be really cool. And it's interesting watching him, like his ability to work with everybody as an individual and boost everyone to what their needs are is pretty amazing. Like watching him with Casey or Catalina or Jenny or Jack or the compounds, like anybody, like he can mesh himself into whatever each athlete needs at that point in time, which I think is a very rare quality.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see, some things that we don't know what's going to happen and stuff with the USOPC and some things in the future. So it'll be interesting 4 years for sure. We'll have some type of new coach coming in to fill in Coach Lee's retirement and all of that. So I think it'll be interesting, but I think all the athletes are strong and with Chris kind of holding the pieces together for everything that I think will adjust really well going into LA.
Yeah. Cool. Well, was there anything else that either you wanted? Oh, Brady, hold up your medals. Gosh, we did that or before we were recording. There we go.
That little
Blink.
Do you know what the silver ones may? Is it silver? Is it?
No. There's a thing on there. They're all the exact same weight. They're all the exact same base, and then they're just coated.
Oh,
like actually, they did a thing on like how much is a gold medal actually worth?
Yeah,
and it's like the gold medal's actual value, like retail value at a store, I think is like $700.
Oh, really?
Bucks. Yeah.
You just put the name on there and then the value goes up. It's got Brady, Ellison, Casey Kaufhold, bam, through the roof. Gotcha. Well, hey, listen, congrats. It was awesome. It's great to see. We've been following you guys for years, and it was cool for us. We don't do anything, but we sure felt like, hey, this is the team on. Actually, Brandon Reyes said everybody's in there was, shooting True Ball Excel. He was like, but I still have my favorites. When you guys were shooting.
We couldn't do this without all of our support and sponsors and everything. So big shout out to them, and I appreciate all that they do.
Could you feel the love from everybody in the U.S. back here?
Oh, there were so many like text messages, so many like congratulations, everything.
It
took me, I don't know about Brady, but it took me hours to go through them all.
I still don't think I've caught up. I'm also not the greatest at replying back or being social in a lot of instances, but you know, like, yeah, you feel everything, and you know, there'll be some point in time where I'm sure that you and I will catch up on some things, Casey, on
Yeah.
all of our social and stuff. But right now, I'm just kind of ignoring it all.
Well, you want to know something funny? We literally first mixed team Olympic medal, won bronze, and at the point that we won, Brady did not follow me on Instagram.
What?
Fun little fact. He was like, I like made this cute little like post on my story and I tagged him and he was like, I'm not seeing like the tag come through. Like, why can I not see it? And I was like, do you not follow me? I was like, this is like, we're like obviously really good friends and like social media doesn't matter that much, but I just thought it was so funny. I was like, wow, we did this all together and we're not even friends on Instagram. But I took his phone and I followed him back.
In real life.
But yeah, and that's what matters. But I just thought it was, I thought it was very funny that at the time of us winning
Instagram
this.
is just the corruption of society. We don't need to be friends on there.
Yeah.
So
I did follow you.
A funny happenstance.
So if the Olympics did one thing, it brought Brady Ellison to
I got
Casey
one more follower.
You got one more follower.
The most special one.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. We certainly appreciate your time today. Best of luck next week at Nationals. I don't know. It's the national championship, but it kind of feels like, we just had the Olympics.
I think we both feel that
way. Yeah, I still need to go shoot and get a good score there. So.
All right, folks, that is another episode of the Competition Archery Media Podcast. You can find it on all the platforms wherever you find your favorite podcast. Thanks for joining us today.